Welcome to the Wealthy Actor Podcast. I'm Valerie Hubbard, an industry veteran with 25 years dedicated to helping actors navigate the business side of their craft.
And I'm James Hallett, a fellow lifelong actor and coach, joining Valerie on this journey.
Here on The Wealthy Actor, we're diving deep into the stories and insights of actors from all walks of life.
We'll be unraveling the threads of success, failures, and everything in between.
So if you're ready to embark on a journey beyond the footlights, join us as we sit down with fascinating actors, industry experts, and thought leaders to uncover the secrets of becoming a truly wealthy actor. I'm Valerie Hubbard.
And I'm James Hallett.
And this is the Wealthy Actor Podcast, where the art of acting meets the business of building a truly prosperous life in the spotlight. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wealthy Actor Podcast. My name is Valerie Hubbard, and I'm joined by my co-host,
James Hallett. Yay!
James.
Hi, Val.
Yeah, it's the summer. We're having a good summer. Are you having a good summer?
Yeah, I'm having a hot summer. But that doesn't make it not good. It's just hot.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
is hot. I know it's
Yeah.
really hot today. Well, we would like to welcome our guest, Miss Tehana Weeks, and let me introduce her to you. A native Houstonian with Liberian roots, Tehana is an actor, filmmaker, and theater maker and social impact advocate dedicated to serving, uplifting, inspiring, and empowering communities to drive tangible, positive change in the world. Since graduating from Carnegie Mellon with a major in business and minor in drama, she has earned acclaim and awards for her work. In 2018, Tehana completed the Iowa West Theater Training Program on a full scholarship. During her time there, she enjoyed several stints on the main stage. After finishing the program, Tehana joined House Ensemble at the Second City Hollywood and the long-form improv team Stick Picks. She was also in the cast of This Week, an SNL-like sketch comedy show. Though acting is Tehana's number one passion, it is her joy to create powerful content and to tell stories about people, places, and things on the margins. A fun few facts about Tehana: she's a world traveler, a nature lover, a sports fan, an arts enthusiast, a lifelong learner, and a delighted in all things food. Me too. Welcome.
Yay!
Hi, thanks for having me.
So nice to see you.
Yeah.
You too again. Good to see you, James. Good to see you, Valerie. It's been a little while.
What's happening right now? What's going on in your life right now?
Oh, I feel like things, it's so weird. It's like things are so busy, and I'm like, why am I so busy? I don't understand. And it's like I raise my hand to do these things. It's like, that's not going to take that much time. That's not going to take that much time. That's not going to take much time. And then I'm busy, and I'm like, when do I get some time off? So one thing that happened recently is I can say this. They said I can say this. I don't always like to say it, but I'll say it. I'm a screener for the Austin Film Festival this season, so that's been kind of fun and interesting. I am currently working with my sister, who's a filmmaker in Atlanta, to develop a feature. I am lucky enough to be auditioning every now and then here and again. I've been sort of like applying to a lot of these different sort of industry fellowships, which has been interesting. That's the base of it. And then I've also been enjoying, we'll probably get into this more, just reconnecting, connecting, deepening relationships with friends and folks in the industry, grabbing a coffee, grabbing a lunch, hanging out, doing something fun with folks that I really like and respect and maybe want to work with, but are also friends. So, just a good time.
Yeah, you're doing a lot, which is super exciting. Just a shout out to Carnegie Mellon. So my nephew went there. Carnegie Mellon theater stuff is fantastic. But you didn't just study theater, you studied business, didn't you?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. So I come from an awesome but like strict and super focused African family. So when it was time to go to school, I knew I had a strong interest in maybe want to pursue a career in acting and the entertainment industry. And I just didn't think that was an option. I thought I had to do something practical, but just interesting because when it was time to like go to school, my parents were like, well, aren't you going to do something theater? And then I just, I applied for a lot of pretty good schools and I ended up at Carnegie Mellon. And when I got there, found out they had this, I didn't know beforehand that they had a really awesome theater and musical theater program. And then my parents were like, well, you should take advantage of the fact you're here and you've got the school there. So I minored in drama and got to take some classes with the elite. I'm sure you guys know that. Like the drama kids are
Well,
like
yeah.
so like at Carnegie Mellon, they were in their own world, in their own bubble. So I got to kind of be in their bubble a little bit, kind of not
Yeah.
really. Um,
Seamus was a Carnegie Mellon person.
Mm.
okay.
Yeah, you remember Seamus, right? Yeah. He was on Castle for 7 years.
Mm.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but he was a teacher where one of your schools. So
Ah,
yeah. That
one of
I
your
taught
schools
at.
too? Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. And I know you went to
I
drama
auditioned for
training.
Carnegie Mellon. They took me into their science department, but they wouldn't take me into their acting. I should have
Yeah,
gone
it's
and done the science.
no, you probably got to had a better time. Where'd you go? Did you end up was it DePaul
I
or
went to it was called the Goodman School of Drama when I went there. And then
that's probably a better
yeah, it was good.
than
It was
doing
great.
science
Yeah.
and
These fellowships that tell me a little bit about those. Like, what are you looking to do around that?
so it started when so I'm working on this feature with my sister and I'm looking I know and maybe I'll plug some so I'll plug Intertwine which is a newsletter I get but it's an organization they do and anything that I plug even if I say it's catered to people of color all are welcome they're all open spaces but they just prioritize people of color and so Intertwine is a group that I'm part of and I get their newsletter and I've helped them as a screener and things like that before but they in their newsletter they have a lot of opportunities and as I was developing this feature I saw these opportunities to like go on these retreats and get paid to write and develop your project and I was like yes please so I started applying to those and then I thought do they have anything like this for actors and so I started looking for some there are some, but a lot of them are like invite only. Like, you know, a lot of big name people have these programs for actors, directors, producers, whatever. Like Lin-Manuel has one, Tyler Perry has one, Kevin Hart has something for, and they're not always for actors, but for different aspects of the industry. But some of them are like either invite only, some of them are on pause, some of them are, I don't know, they're just not all currently available. But I did find some, and I just finished the application. Well, I finished the application for one a while ago and actually got invited to another step. I got invited to do a self-tape for another one. So yeah, I'm kind of exploring that right now because I was like, if I can get paid to train or to write or to further develop my project and go on this retreat and be in nature and do all the and be around professionals and get mentorship and all the things. And if I can do that, whether it's for writing or directing or producing or acting, then that is amazing. And I want to do it. So, and I'll figure out the other life stuff.
Sign
Uh,
me up. Sign me up.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. So,
exactly.
yeah, that's how that happened. And that's why I'm like, yeah, I will continue to explore these. And, you know, a lot of other opportunities just comes to me when I just say yes to things. Like being a screener for the Austin Film Festival, I was at an industry event and someone knew that I was a screener for another festival. And they're like, well, would you want to do this? And I was like, sure. And anyway, a lot of things, good things can happen when you just say yes or start exploring things that seem like they have potential.
I think it would be fun to be a screener for a
I
film
like it.
festival.
I like it because at the end of the day, I watch movies and TV for free. You know what I mean? I really enjoy doing that. So then you get to watch stuff that's not typical. You know, there a lot of these filmmakers are not necessarily trying to be commercially viable, especially if they know they're just gonna create something for the love of the art and then maybe have a good festival run. And maybe it gets picked up for distribution. The hope certainly is that I'm sure they get into an Oscar qualifying festival like the Austin AFF and go there and meet some really awesome people and get a huge career break. But that's not, you know, people know that there's a chance, but it's a long shot. So people are creating work that is just for the love of it and it's maybe avant-garde or it takes more risk than you might otherwise see on TV and film than the stuff that's getting greenlit out there. So yeah, and I learn a lot because I am also creating, you know, and I'm like, ooh, I want to do something like that. Ooh, I got to make note of that. Or I can also say like, who was that director? Who was that DP? Who was that, you know,
Yeah.
producer on that? You know, maybe I'll hit him up, you know. So
I think that's such an important point. You know, the community of artists really is not that big.
no.
I mean, it's always growing, but it's not that big. And so when we step forward and say yes and involve ourselves, we meet people, and meeting people leads to opportunities. often things that are totally unexpected. And I love that you're doing that. And also, I was reading through your bio and reading through your IMDb page and looking at, and you've been creating and directing and working on a whole bunch of things, which also it speaks to, a lot of the people we've been speaking to on this podcast who are actually having great success are people who have taken their careers by the horns and decided to actually be a creator rather than waiting around to be cast. How did you decide? At what point did you sort of go, "Oh, I need to create. I need to be like, I need to make this happen."
Very early on, because I feel like that was when I came out here, that was a thing that was happening more and more. Everyone was talking about, and it's been a while since I've been out here. It's been like 15, 16 years. And when I say out here, I'm in LA. And that was a thing that was happening more and more. It was like the industry was democratizing a little bit. It was becoming the barriers to entry to creating your own things were becoming less. Things were becoming more and more affordable, like cameras, equipment, or just knowledge and know-how around that. And so there was this buzz around like creating your own thing, doing your, getting, your foot in the door that way, or that being one avenue, one of several ways in which you should be pursuing a career in craft. And then way back in the day, shout out to We Make Movies. I was lucky enough to become a part of that group where everyone was kind of creating it and doing their own thing. And around that time, I also connected to another organization that I will not plug as much, and I don't even know if they're still around, but that got me started with a web series that I created with a group. And then with Women Movies, I did a short, wrote, direct, produced it. Like through Women Movies, I joined the writers, one of the writers groups. I, helped others on their projects. And when you're like, the saying, you are the average of the five people you spend the most time with, but also when you're around people who are doing the things that you want to be doing and it just makes it seem so much more doable, possible, plausible, and you are more likely to do it. So that was kind of the thing with We Make Movies. So that's I think why I had kind of started so soon
Yeah.
and have been slowly kind of doing it ever since.
I was there's a lot of things that you're bringing up for me because the conversation I've been having with actors recently has been, obviously about how much our business is changing and how do we respond and how do we do those things, right? And one of the things that came up a lot is this sort of self-care and allowing, and I think that, we have been pushed down, and that's just true, that actors are one of the most gaslit people ever, right? And so we've been so pushed down, and I feel like this growth is happening where we're becoming these independent businesses, and we're clear and our confidences are building and we're creating content. But it's also like this feeling of tithing, like it's giving forward. I was talking to this director in my mastermind, and he was talking about that, about how he believes in giving forward. Like he helped a lot of people and they help him. And it's like this, and so what we're seeing is like this need to go back to more ensemble and group and creating from group, which is great for us because we are born of that. And I think I also hear in you like a level of security and even more matureness. Like I've known you for a long time. And so I hear that in you too. I wanted to mention that. Like there's a feeling of wealthy about you because wealthy is a spirit thing to me. It's having a
Absolutely.
great
And
life.
absolutely. I want to touch on a couple things that you mentioned, and I'll get back to the last one. One thing is actors being gaslit, and you've been saying this for a while, Valerie. And I want to give you credit for always being, obviously, always telling it like it is, being so honest and forthcoming, which is what actors need and don't get enough of, and always being like ahead of the curve and having vision, but and being willing to act on that vision, obviously with Actors Fast Track and almost everything you do to say, oh, look at what's coming around the bend. And let me tell you guys what's coming around the bend. And this is what we need to be doing. So I definitely want to give you credit for that. Me working with you has been so helpful. And it's helped. That's why I always kind of stay plugged into Actors Fast Track. Like, what's Valerie saying right now? Because you always know what's coming. But yeah, actors, and you've been, like I said, you've been saying this forever. Actors have been so gaslit. And I think the metaphor you used to say is like actors are like like they own the car, but they're in the back seat or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
people
yeah. They're
drive
in the
or like
trunk. They own the
right,
car, but they're in the trunk. How'd you get locked in the trunk? I don't know.
right. Or the other thing is
Agent's
like
driving or whatever.
they have the restaurant, they own the restaurant, but they're
Yeah,
letting everyone else, they're hiring, whatever.
yeah,
You have a lot of good metaphors
yeah,
for it, but it's so ridiculous. And then you see, it's like, the oppressed become the oppressor, the abused become the abuser. And it's like, I cannot stand when I see actors, and it happens enough in the industry where it's like, if you don't pay anyone on set, it's okay. You have to pay the actors, right? You got to pay the DP, you got to pay the director, you got to pay everyone else. But if you can't afford to pay actors, oh well. I will never do that. I have never done that. I do not believe in that. I'm at the point where I really need to pay everyone. I've always felt that way. I've always done that, especially now. I'm really trying to get to the place where everyone gets their rate, right? Because when you're coming up, it's like, oh, okay, I can only give you this, whatever. And now it's like, let's not only give everyone money, but let's give everyone their rate and or more if we can. There's that. And then but you'll still see actors creating their own thing, and it's like I gotta pay everyone, but if they can't pay the actors, oh well. And it's like, please don't be those creators. Fine, you like if you're raising money anyway. And I heard this, I listened to one of your more recent podcasts. I think the woman's name is Catherine. She's a producer, and
yeah.
it was like it's just as
Catherine.
easy to raise 20 million as 20,000. Like if you gotta raise money anyway, raise enough to pay everyone, ideally what they're worth and what their asking rate is. But like you got to fundraise anyway. Just say like this is what I need, and if you can't,
Yeah,
don't move forward until you got the money.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, actors please pay each other. And then the other thing you touched on was like having like a wealthy mindset, which I'm not gonna, as we say, or as the kids say, no cap. Uh, it's not always easy, but yeah, you have to have some self-assurance in this industry and have some confidence. And I mean, I've been around probably maybe too long.
Yeah.
There's that. But I also want to give another shout out to you and your everything that you do. You had this episode, I think it was before you had the podcast, of this like master manifester on this
Yeah,
woman,
she was
and it was an
great.
amazing. I love that podcast. I need to listen to it again.
Yeah,
And she was one of the people I think I've heard it before, but she was one of the people like either reminded me or said like you just need. It's like this other reality that you just have to step into,
yes.
right? It's like it's already there for you. Just step into it. And I've been working on that to whether. And I think I had another friend who's sort of like a life coach as well, who's also like wealth. It's a mindset. It is a being. It is a state of whatever. It's a state of mind, a state of being. First, you have to adopt that, and then move
Get
forward
it.
in that way, right?
Yeah. Step into who
Um,
you're becoming, that kind
yes.
of thing. Yes.
I agree with what you said, Donna. Like Valerie really does.
Oh, I was going to tell you what the new thing is coming,
There,
but
Oh,
I'll do
I was about
you.
to say that. Valerie's on top of what's going.
Okay. So this is an idea that I heard the other day, but I think it's a possibility. If agents would stop being such power people, wouldn't it be great if we could have a partnership, like a real partnership with our agent,
Hmm.
and we work together? Now, I had an agent like this once. I had one agent like this, y'all. One, where we would actually meet, and this is before computers, and we would meet and we would brainstorm on how to get me in the room for a job. Chris Walken's wife, George Ann Walken, was a big casting director in New York. She cast The Sopranos and things like that. And there was a role that I was really right for, right? And she's like, my agent's like, she's not letting me. You need to go take your headshot and you need to drop by that office, right? And so she can see you because you're perfect for this part. So that it was a partnership of both of us making money. So I think, like this ensemble thing, like groups are forming and making movies. You make movies with your friends, you get them produced. And like, I mean, look at Amy Schumacher and the people that we know that are doing this, right? And they're creating their own
yeah.
capsule, and their own community, their own co-op. Right. And so I think that that's what needs, because the level of like, I mean, we're also at the bottom of we're
Yes.
the last person always. And so we need to
Fortunate.
level out that.
Yeah. And we need to train the industry to change that mindset about actors.
Well, we
Um,
need to change us.
Yeah.
That's what
yes, we
I
have to
think.
change us first, and
Yeah.
then everything else should come because we will be standing in our value and our truth, as you always say,
Eh,
and then they will have no choice but
no.
to cheat.
Yeah.
It is better. And I do love it's a running theme throughout the industry as well, that actors are like creating and producing, like Issa, Quinta.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is such a good point. And again, shout out to Me Movies again. That's how I know Amy. Being in community, and you hear this as well. I started to hear it, around the time that everyone was saying you got to create and produce your own thing, but a little bit later, and I think I went to an event, met Issa. I should say Issa Rae, as if I know her. I don't. We don't. We're not on the first name basis, but I would love to be. But I did meet her, and at the event, she was saying network laterally, and you're always saying like you got to make friends
Hmm.
with the people who can actually employ you, right?
Yeah.
It's great. Casting directors are great. Yes, get them to be on your team and get them to be a fan if you're, playing the game that you always talk about. But we have got to be meeting and making friends and with of course, fellow actors who ideally are also creating, directors, producers, filmmakers of all kinds. And yes, play big and go for like that big HBO show and go for the next Netflix show and go for the next NBC procedural, whatever you want to go for, and try to get to know those people. But also, most of my career is the friends I've made at my level, or maybe a little bit ahead of me. And that's what I've started. I did all the things you preach, Valerie, but I also right now I'm just so very focused on the people right around my level who I want to be working with more, and who are also have the mindset to play big and do big, and who are reaching for things but are, they're moving up. And as I've seen it, we've all kind of moved up together, and it's great. And then there's these other people that I want to kind of maybe pull closer, who are near, they're not, so that's kind of what I've been focusing on. And those are you're always talking about the sales calls. Those are the sales calls that I've been making most recently, for the last, I would say, actually a couple of years now.
Hmm.
Not that I don't still try to do big and play big, just not as much. I just feel like my energy is better spent, and that's where I've seen pretty good results.
Hmm.
And not that
I
the other stuff didn't get me into doors. I got, thanks to your philosophies, I think I've gotten like two or three series regular auditions, and unfortunately I didn't book any, but I've gotten them, from the market I did, and also from the what I said before, just saying yes to opportunities or looking out in the right places and things like that. So that combination has been really good. But yeah, building that community is so important. Finding your tribe. It's not always going to be the same. I shout out We Make Movies, but if you go to We Make Movies, it's not your thing. That's okay. There's so many other groups, or you can form your own accountability group. You can just form your own group of friends, your network. Just try to make things. There's so many ways to just kind of find your tribe. But for me, community has always been important, which is why We Make Movies played such a big role in my life for such a long time. And even though I'm not as active with that organization, the friendship, the bonds, those relationships will probably last me throughout my life and my career.
Hmm.
But now I'm in other spaces. I have other community. Shout out to First 15 and Jamila, who's I can now call a friend, who runs that space, and Intertwine and Kiana, who runs that space, and here in Ready and Bree Ely, who runs that space. And these are all people who are making moves in the industry and their career, and doing really exciting things. And
Cool.
as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking of like John Sayles and his filmmaking, Brother from Another Planet and lots of other great films. And John Sayles refused to buy into the Hollywood industry. Like he was like, no, I'm making my movies and it's my
Hmm.
voice. I'm going to do the casting. So he actually he worked with Hollywood as a writer to make money, as a script doctor and stuff. But then he did his own films and he created a community. And I'm not that it was all him, but he pulled his community around him to create these fantastic movies. I think we all need that home base of friendship and community. That's really what life is about. The other thing is sort of it's a shiny bauble that the industry waves over our heads to keep us under their control. The opportunities they wave over our heads, they actually are in control of. We're not able to be the dynamic creative forces that we are if we always are subservient to their whims. As I've sort of looked at the things that you've been working on, I really feel like you are embodying the creator energy, where you are saying, well, what do I want to do and who do I want to do it with and how do I make that happen? And that it's really empowering. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for saying that. And I like that you reminded, it seems like such a new phenomenon, like actors, back in the day, when I was coming up, the triple threat was being able to act, sing, and dance. And then now the triple threat is like, are you acting, directing, producing, writing, maybe quadruple threat? But you reminded me when you said that it's actually not such a new phenomenon. Going to John Sayles, Robert Townsend was doing that. The Wayans brothers were doing that. Yeah, it's something that, I mean, this is how I believe, if the stories are true, Sylvester Stallone with Rocky.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, when it seems like all the doors are just shut, you can just build your own door and walk through, So, and it is not that new of a phenomenon. It just
Mm.
maybe seems like it, or maybe it is more common now. I don't know.
So I love what you said, the new triple threat,
Yeah, it
right?
was so good. I loved it
It's
too.
so good. And it not only makes so much sense, but it just is so good because it's really where we are, right? The new triple threat is not the talent showcase that you put on. It's not the sort of little, play the violin, I do this, I do that. No, right? It's not those things. It is. It's about like that you can handle multiple things that make you a creator. Acting, producing, writing, whatever that mix is. I think that's what the industry is so excited about.
I do too.
And right now, everyone's talking about how things are so slow. And listen, we are all experiencing it. Things are so slow, the industry's so tough, rough. I just had some friends who I also look up to and would have loved to work, maybe will to work with, move away from LA. They're in one of the Carolinas, north or south. Really enjoying life there. And that's another thing. It's just always check in with yourself and
Ooh,
make sure.
Kurt and Joni. How did I know that?
Probably because I said that they moved to one of the Carolinas, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I know that they did that." Okay, wow. Actually, I didn't
Yeah.
even know that I knew that you knew them.
Yeah, I did a video game for a year with Kurt, and we were on American Horror Story together, and then they just became regular panelists at Actors Fast Track. And then, when Kurt booked Vice, then I had that client, Camille, that went in as a background and ended up having more lines than Kurt, who had auditioned for it. So yeah, just Kurt and I, because Kurt and I's type, we run in the same circles. So
I mean, that's just an example of how if you stay, I mean, again, I was just going to say like check in with yourself and make sure this is what you want to be doing because there's so much better life than this
yeah.
little. And I am so happy for them that they're going to go and enjoy life in another way. They still have a regional agent and they still are going to be active as they maybe want to be in a different way, but they're not going to be stressed about the industry anymore. So, I think that's so important. And I've had other friends do that, not just now, but over the years. And then you were saying, I forgot what you were saying, but yes, I'm so happy for them. Oh, I've lost my train of thought.
Oh,
But
That's
girl, I
okay.
do it
That's okay.
5,000 times a day.
So, Tahana,
um
you said something. You said something earlier about make your own door,
Yes.
yeah,
and that
yeah,
was that was the other thing. I was like, oh yeah, that's so good. Because Valerie talks a lot about like standing outside the door and that feeling of the door. You've introduced a new element to that, which is make your own door. I
build
I
your own
love it.
door. And that ties into everything we've been saying with like get your community, get your network, have your tribe, do the things. And all of that is kind of building your own door to walk through, which is what there's so many examples of how that could work. And you can maybe make a whole different set of new precedent example of how that can work. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just so important to be doing that all the time.
Yeah. So what are the doors you're most excited about opening and building right now?
Definitely excited to be creating. I'm working with, like I said, my sister on a feature, and I am kind of tentatively, you guys know how this works, attached to a couple other features that hopefully we'll be developing. But it is nice to just be working with people that I really like and admire, like we touched on earlier, where I've kind of gotten to a place where it's like, yes, I'll play big when it seems appropriate to do so. It is, I don't want to say playing big or small, because that would imply like what I'm doing is not playing big or it is playing small, but I just think it's just working the industry in a different way. Or like you said, part of building my own door, right? Which is just looking around and seeing the people who I admire and I like and her doing really cool, interesting things. Like I met this one filmmaker at a film festival that I was a screener for and eventually an assistant festival director for. And she made it in a freaking phenomenal short film. She ended up winning Best Director at the festival. She's a filmmaker in England, and I keep in touch with her. I'm just like, hey, what are you doing? What are you working on? Can we work together? Would you be interested? She's like, yes. So she's got something that we maybe are working on. There's another filmmaker, Rena. The other filmmaker was Janet. I'll just say their names just to give them a shout out. I don't know if it helps or hurts, but Janet Merritt, and the other one, Rena Dutt, who does I love both film, television, and theater, and Rena is directing both film and theater very consistently. She's doing really cool things in theater. I've seen some of her work, and I became a fan also through movies and that festival. And I've been in touch with her. I was part of my job to kind of reach out to those filmmakers at one point, and then it was just like, actually, I just want to keep in touch with you because you're doing really cool things. And we've gotten coffee and lunch and stuff, and I'll continue to do that. Her and the other filmmakers that I really admire and want to work for, collaborate with, be in community with. That's where I am right now, and I really want to be excited by the
Mm.
people. It's one thing to reach out to that huge name filmmaker. You don't even know them as a person if they're cool or not. But it's another thing to like really see someone's work and also just know them as a person and be like, you're just lovely. You're just lovely. And I would love to work with you and be friends with you. And
So
eventually,
true.
yeah. And there's another writer, Rodney Nugent, who was like that, writes a really fantastic writer. Met him through We Make Movies as well, and he's in a lot of other community spaces. But to hear him talk about how he's playing big and getting some really big rooms to make some really big projects happen, but also just a lovely guy, just a really nice guy, really down to earth. And we have great conversations. We get coffee and every now and then, and we're just like, yeah, when the timing's right. When we just had coffee a couple weeks ago, and when the timing's right, when the project's right, we're gonna work together, and it's gonna be great. Just to be excited about that in that way. I'm not
Mm.
really trying to force anything, not trying to make anything happen right away. So, and I've just been having more and more of those experiences. I met another one through another friend, adore this writer, Megan Meyer. She's fantastically talented. I'm kind of tentatively attached to one of her projects. And then through her, I met this guy, Ken Rudnick, who's a producer, director, whatever. And just being just that whole community that's creating not necessarily through a group, but through other just connections and just meeting people and be like, yeah, this is great. We don't have to force a collaboration right away, but we now know each other, we're on each other's radar. We like each other. We'd like to work together. I'll think of you when something pops up. You will maybe think of me and hopefully work together one day. So
I think that's one thing that I have gotten better with. One thing that you were mentioning is like sort of, allowing the opportunity to be fully realized because like, I want to do things and I taught and some things work out and some things don't, right? And I think that I've gotten way better at sort of allowing myself to be in the flow of what is, appears because when you're moving forward, it's so crazy. Like when you're doing the things you're supposed to be doing, it. The path just unfolds for you. It begins to unfold for you. And the
yeah,
connections it's like those,
yes.
yeah, the connections kind of go, and then they all come together. Because, like, James, you were talking about how it's a small world. It's like, I saw this post on Facebook and it was like someone had done this film and he wanted to thank the people that were involved. And like one of the people he thanked was this guy who's a filmmaker in LA that I know. And one of the guys he thanks is someone I went to high school with in Kansas.
Wow.
Right. And
Yes.
he's a lighting person. Like he's been a professional lighter for theater, right? His whole life. But it's just so weird how like so small it is,
Yeah, the
that
world is smaller than we think. They say there's
yeah.
6 degrees of separation, and for most of us, it's less than that to
Yeah.
get to one. And then also the industry that just reminds you when you were like, "Oh, you're talking about Kirk and Joni." I'm like, "Man, this industry is so small, especially once you stick around for a while." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Oh yeah, Kirk and Joni." And then yeah, it's just so. Which is also I was listening to, and this is a big name person who I'd also love to work with. I have no connection to this person, but I will shout her out anyway. Kelly Rowland. Listening to her on a podcast, and someone was talking to her about personal brand, right? Your personal brand is so important. Now, of course, as actors, we've got the brand of like who we are as an actor, and we know how important it is to know who you are as an actor, what role you can, like you say, Bradley, when you're going, you just need to get paid, what role you can just slide into, what the casting director should just know you for and call you for, what else the other filmmakers should know you for and call you for. That's important. But then what's equally as important is, or even more important, especially as we were just talking about how this industry is so small, is your personal brand, right? To just be your true authentic self and to
Yes.
have people like you and want to work with you for who
Yeah.
you are as your true authentic self.
Yeah.
And
And
be honest
authentic is a
about
very important word that you just said.
absolutely, and just be honest about who you are as a person, who you are as an actor, and what you're really excited about, what you really want to be doing. Is it horror? Is it whatever? Is it, do you really want to try writing, or you feel obligated to try writing? Because you don't have to be doing all the things, right? Social media is very important. I personally suck at social media. I try, I do my best because it's important, but I don't feel like I have to spend so much time on it because I've got my newsletter and I've got all these other things going on. And so that's one tool in the toolkit that maybe not so sharp, but it's there. But I've got all these other things. And like, you don't have to be all the things to everyone all the time. And I was actually talking to another friend who had a play in the Fringe Festival, and she was talking about how she feels a little. People say this about the industry sometimes, how it can be very transactional, and like you come to my show, I'll go to your show, especially of course the Fringe Festival. Or if you do this for me, I'll do that for you. And that's not how it should be. That's how networking gets a really negative connotation. It should just be about building relationships and ideally making friends so that you just want to be in that community, be in that company. And then, of course, you're going to help your friend out. And of course, they can help you out and they can go to
Yeah.
your show, you can go to their show. But also, not everyone is for not everyone is for everyone.
Mm-mm.
Not everything is for everyone.
Mm.
If you're really good at social media, great, focus on that. You don't need, maybe you don't need a newsletter. Maybe you don't need to also write, direct, and produce. Maybe
Yeah.
because there are people making way more than me just focused on social media, and building their careers on just social media.
Yeah.
But if you really genuinely have that interest in writing, directing, and producing, or just writing, or just producing, or just directing, go for that and be honest about that when you show up in spaces, because that's how you said everything will start to fall into place. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? That's how you'll know you're on the right path, and that's just so important. But yeah, your personal brand is just so important when you think of some of your favorite, whether fellow collaborators or someone like for me, Kelly Rowland. It's like, oh, I would love to work with her. Not because, I mean, she is a wonderful actress and she just seems like a really cool person. She seems really down to earth and grounded. And you know what I mean? And that's all part of her personal brand, right?
Yeah,
So,
personal brand, it's so important now. And I just remember it was not even a year ago that someone got on the internet and told everyone, I don't know what I'm talking about. You don't need, actors don't need brand. Do not listen to that. You need personal
absolutely
brand.
not.
You
Absolutely not.
have to have it because people are hiring individuals now. It's
Yes.
it's not so much about types anymore. Yeah, if you're, like what this commercial I'm doing on Monday and Tuesday, I'm playing like a white trash bartender. Hello, right? Like that's what I do, right? And so that's something I do, but I'm still like, you have to have that personal brand. You have to have that because
Absolutely.
people, yeah, it's like they're hiring a person.
One of the sort of little bits of wisdom that I've come to in my life is I have to give people the opportunity to love me.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not presenting who I really am, then I haven't given them a chance to actually, affirm who I am and love me because I haven't let them know who I am. And so this thing of personal brand, it's like give people a chance to know you. I think that there's a lot of work, a lot of creative merging and work that happens because we find someone we are aligned with creatively, politically, like whatever the alignment is, where we sort of go, "Ooh, you are my kind of person,
Mhm.
and I want to work with you."
Yes.
And I agree with you, Tehana. That's different than the casting type because we actually it's a big thing. Like when you're going to work on a film and you're going to spend months and months and months working on something, you better like that person, you know.
Yep. And that's why you hear stories in the industry like Clint Eastwood, whether it's Clint Eastwood or Tyler Perry or whoever, who can hire their entire team, whether it's cast,
Mhm.
crew, everything. They're working with the same people over and over again because they know them and they like them and they want to get to it. And you just hope to be in those circles and you hope to build those circles for yourself. And it is so true. It's like almost two different brands that are tied into one, where it's like, who are you as an actor? And what do you do really well? And what is you can you slide into as an actor? And then who are you as a person? What do you like to work with? Right? And then and then all of that comes together for when people want to work with you. But I'll tell you, like I said, so much of my career, my work, my resume is from my network, people saying, we want to work with you. Are you available for the shoot? Whatever the case may be, are you available for this project?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is like them wanting and trusting me as a person, probably first and foremost, and just
Mhm.
knowing that I'm a trained actor and can pull it off, or I'm going to be disciplined and organized as a producer, or I'm going to be steadfast and learning whatever I need to learn as a director or whatever the case may be. But it really, I think the person, who you are, your person, a lot of times comes first. And then for the big casting director, not so much. It's like, yes, like for me, and then not knowing who you are as an actor is always going to be important, right? Because for this other fellowship opportunity, the second round was like, okay, send us a self-tape material of your choice, theater or film. Just show us who you are as an actor. I was like, thank God I've been doing this for so long and I know exactly what I need and want. And I know who to go to because I got it coached. And I went to this coach that I work with a lot. And I believe in trying a lot of different things. So I've tried a lot of different coaches, but I've worked with one more than others. Shout out Curtis Bechtold, also from Familiar Ruth. And he knows me. And I said, this is what I think I want to do. This is what I think I'd be good at. Can you pull some things like that? I'm going to pull some things. Let's have a meeting. End up finding like the perfect scene for me. I cannot say enough, the perfect scene. And I was like, it was a long, big scene, but I slipped right into it, learned it really quickly because I think it was just so easy because it was just so right for me. So knowing who you are as an actor, knowing what your brand is as an actor,
Yep.
so important. You never know how important it's going to be at any given time, but who you are as a person, equally as important.
Yeah. And I think like lately, I've been really moving into that more, just even working with the actors, because I feel like it wasn't the way I had explained it for a long time is it's like the name of your restaurant, and then there's a menu inside, which are the spectrum of all the characters you play, which I think are great. But I think that we have to really focus on the outside of the restaurant, like, because there's so many opportunities for us to be seen on so many different platforms. And the new things out there are saying that in marketing are saying that you as a consumer need to see something upwards of 15 times on 3 different platforms.
Wow.
For you guys, you actors out there, like if you're sending a pitch video, say to a casting director, then go follow them on social media. So now you've hacked 2. The other thing I want to say is all this talk about going to film festivals that you've been doing, like this is what I constantly saying. People are hungry for in-person things. So the more that you can get your ass out of bed and go, because like my husband said to me, Dad, I just want to go to sleep until like I just want to go sleep right now. Like I don't want to die, but I just want to go to sleep. And like, I was like, I understand, honey. But if you can get your ass out there and go to a few film festivals, and if it doesn't have to be, South by Southwest or Toronto, or it doesn't have to be one of those, but I think it's like really fun for you to get out, because then think of it like this way. You're just those games where we had those dots and we drew the dots and then the picture appeared. All you're doing is every film festival you're going and you're setting this intention that you're going to meet 5 people and follow up with them. You're throwing 5 stones out there, 5, and pretty soon they're all, like we were talking, because it's a small world, they all connect. Yeah. And then that's when you are in the flow of having an acting career.
Right. And that's another thing why personal brand is so important. It's a small industry. You spoil your name one place, it could come back to haunt you. But also, yes, please, I thought I really liked and appreciated the convenience of doing things online like this. But after such a long time of doing things online, I realized the value of being in person with people. Oh my gosh, as great as Zoom is, it does not compare to going to an event, film festivals, other screening events, other industry events. They're everywhere, folks. I'm sure you are on all the newsletters, or a lot of newsletters. I am. Just peruse them every now and then, see what's going on, try to get out there. Again, find your community. If you find a group that's having regular in-person events, if you have a group that's meeting online, great. If you find any group that you like, stick with it, because that's what's going to inspire you to keep going on and make those connections, because you can make connections online, but there's nothing that compares to meeting in person. So, but yeah, look for these events. Once you've been around, I'm sure as long as we have, you're on all the newsletters, you see this, you see that, you know kind of the events you like, what you want to go to. And yes, please get out there, go out there, meet people, can get into an organization or group that meets regularly in person. That's great, because that's how I've developed some of my best friendship. Also, when you're on set, I cannot tell you how many opportunities I've gotten just being on set and then meeting someone, and then we form that friendship relationship that I talked about. And then, well, actually, one guy I was like that I got this film from, and then we just reconnected recently. I didn't even think he liked me, but I guess, but oh, it's kind of like the Cookie Monster story, actually, Valerie,
Oh.
because I got this feature. We were, there were three of us leads,
Hmm.
and this director producer unfortunately kind of didn't know what he was talking about, and we as a cast decided we wanted to address it, and I took the lead on that, and I was scapegoated. Still got a halfway decent paycheck, but that director producer shut the production down and like kind of scapegoated me, but then brought those other two guys back, didn't bring me back to restart production and move forward with the project. And that one of that was fellow lead actor felt so bad. He was like, I cannot believe he did this to you. This is so bad. It was so wrong, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to say that's why he hired me. He just reached out. His wife is a huge commercial director and does a lot of high fashion commercial industry stuff, but she wants to get into narrative filmmaking. So they hired me. They had me read, they had me audition self tape for this part, but I got it, thank God. And they were lovely to work with. Such an amazing couple, doing really cool things also in the industry. But it was like, I hope he really liked me, or maybe he just felt bad for me, like the Cookie Monster story. I don't know. I don't care at this point.
It
But
doesn't
now
matter.
we are friends, and it's obviously a really good relationship to have. But yeah, it
Steven Vincent's going to be on my panel at my upcoming actors power pitch. So he's the other person of the
oh,
Cookie
awesome.
Monster. Yeah, he's his
Yeah.
partner.
Oh,
Sig de
cool.
Miguel and Steven Vincent. They're great. They cast like half of the indie films in this country. They're really
You
good.
never know how that's going to happen. Like I always loved your Cookie Monster story. It's such a great
Yeah.
story. And then
Yeah.
I realized when I was reconnecting with this guy, I was like, oh, this is kind of like my Cookie Monster story. I don't know.
Uh, and also, and if you guys don't know the Cookie Monster story, we'll tell it again. So,
Oh, someone just
oh
asked what is
yeah,
the Cookie Monster story?
Andrea just asked the what's the Cookie Monster. Okay, all right. I'm not going to tell the long version. The quick version is my friend and I were doing a show about sex workers. That's what it was called, sex work, and we thought it'd be fun to take heart shaped cookies into the offices in New York and invite them to see our show. So we had a great day. We had cooked we had spent the night at her house. We made the cookies. We were having a ball. Like when we went to ABC, everyone came out of their offices and was like, Valerie, Rosie, we're so happy to see you. And we were just like high as a kite. You know, we were going around New York City. It was a beautiful spring day. And we were like dropping off these cookies, right? So then we went to Meg Simon's office, who was notoriously, is she still alive? I think she is. I don't know. She's old now, but she was a notoriously not necessarily nice casting director. And mind you, I had auditioned for her and she'd cast me. I had auditioned for her several times, right? So she knew me, which was even weirder. So we went into this office and Rosie's 10 years younger than me. So she was like a little more hesitant. I was like, hey, here's some cookies. Come see our show. We walk in, there's this three little assistants sitting there and they were so happy to see us. They looked like they were starving. They were like, thank you. And I guess like Meg was in session. We're like, no problem, come see our show. And we left and we were like, and then we got, and all of a sudden we're in the hall and here comes Meg Simon with our cookies. And she's like, who the hell do you think you are, you stupid actors? And I mean, it was so like we had just killed her child. That was the reaction she was having when we just brought her homemade cookies. I don't know, whatever. So we were standing there. And, the first moral of the story is because I was with my best friend. As soon as she walked back in the office, we burst out laughing because it was so ridiculous. Here's your cookies, like that was like really stupid. So then, we go on with our lives. And then Rosie calls me, it was about 10 years later. And she goes, listen, I went in for this lead in a John Leguizamo movie today. And Sig de Miguel was the casting director. And he's like, I don't know if you're going to remember this, but 10 years ago, you and your best friend bought those cookies into this office and my mean ass bitch boss took them away. And from ever since then, I watch after your careers. And I had already I didn't know he was the person sitting in that office. He called me in for stuff all the time. He's so far cast me in like 5 films. And one was a direct offer, and it was with Selma Blair and Adrian Grenier. And when we were on set, he told the cookie story.
Oh, I love it. That's so awesome.
And then
Yeah,
we animated. We have an animation of it.
I,
And then
I
Meg
remember
Simon,
I remember seeing that. You should show it again.
I will.
Put it
I'll
on
show it
YouTube or
again.
something. Put it on your on social media, all the things.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like I shout out to Ryan Mallon, who is a wonderful really talented actor and a fantastic writer, and is also doing really cool things in the industry. And his wife, Jennifer, oh my God, she's a lovely Belgium. What do you call someone from Belgium? Okay,
Belgian?
Belgian. Sorry, woman. I think her last name is Mashu. Mashu. Okay, I apologize, but shout out to the two of them. They're awesome. And yeah, that's kind of like my little Cookie Monster story. Like I said, I don't know if it's really because that happened, but
Yeah.
when we were talking recently, he mentioned it again. He was like, I cannot believe he treated you like that, you know? So you never know how, even if something seems really awful at the time, especially if you know that you didn't do anything wrong and you were just giving out homemade cookies. I will never get over that girl. How she took, like they said, those assistants seemed like they were starving, and she took the cookies away from them
No,
to
she
walk.
and like my image is like she grabbed them out of their hand and they were like little
Right.
Cambodian starving children. Oh, you
To
know.
walk out in the hall and reprimand you. Like, how much more time and energy, if she thought that you were going into her office and wasting time and energy of her team, how much more time did she waste to reprimand them, grab the cookies, walk in the hall, reprimand you, throw the cookies
And
back
not
at you,
and not just like reprimand, like you scream at
yell,
us.
and be awful? How much more energy did it take to be so awful
I
to
mean, it was
someone?
just like, inappropriate. That was my brain when I was standing there, like,
But yeah, and how much less energy would have taken just be like, oh, thanks, like I great, we have cookies now. Let's
I
eat
have so
cookies.
many like that. Check this out. I think it's because we're the bottom of the barrel that they feel like they might
Can get
give us
away with it,
something,
yeah.
but they need to punish us first. Right. And so this happens all the time. Like I'll get an actor that gets a response from one of their emails. I don't think it's 3 paragraphs. This is real true. It was 3 paragraph response. I don't think actors should do this. And I think it's wrong that you're pitching me and blah, 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 and la, 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 and how stupid you are and blah, blah. And at the very end, he's like, if we have something in our season next year, I'll bring you in.
All
So
that for
yeah,
yeah,
it's like someone that beats you.
yeah,
I'm sorry, I love you after they beat the shit out of you. It's like, oh,
right.
thanks. Right. And we're very abused. That's why I call us the abused wives in the corner. Another one, I had a client last year that sent a thank you note, had a great audition, sent the thank you note to the casting and to the showrunner. All that happened was the showrunner was confused. It wasn't like he was mad that he got a thank you note. It was a lovely thank you note. He just asked the casting director, who is this? She decided upon herself that was inappropriate for an actor to write a thank you note. And so
Thank you
she
note.
called and screamed out the agent. The agent ended up dropping my client.
Aww.
Right. Check this out. And she called my client, said, you'll never work in this business again. I'm going to blacklist you. Fucking bitch.
As
She's
if she
she's
could.
in New Mexico. Like,
Right.
Deborah Zane would never do that. I mean, like,
Right? Which is
these are
another thing. The biggest,
the
most
big,
powerful people are usually that way because they're
they're so
so great.
nice. You
Yes.
remember when we used to do drop offs at office and the kids would come back from CAA and they're like, they were so nice. And like, it's because they're CAA, honey.
Yeah.
It's always the small nothing people that are
That
mean.
need to feel more powerful than they are.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
know.
Right. And so, yeah. So, guess what? Ever since that happened, that was last summer, she's had this year, she got 4 or 5 auditions from the same casting director and she got a way better agent. So, anytime
Good.
you have something bad happen to you, you have
Yep.
to, like you said, you have to understand that being business is like this. Any business, actor, any business, it doesn't matter. It's like this. So, you have to understand what to do when it's this.
Mhm.
Right. And the only way you're going to learn that is by going through those
Right.
experiences of being dropped by an agent or being told you're a fat and you have no resume, which happened to me, or being told I didn't my training wasn't very good, and along with it you also get told things like you're amazing, you're talented, we love you. And so I think
Mhm.
each one of those you have to kind of be able to take in but not live by,
Right.
because, I remember an agent once told my client to cut her hair and dye her hair and do all this stuff. My client did all this stuff. And then she went back and the agent's like, who are you? Right. Remember, giving advice is easy.
Yeah.
Executing it
Yeah.
is like, yeah.
And just
I,
know you don't need to be executing all the advice you get, though. You got to be
No,
sort of
absolutely
like
not.
that was
Absolutely.
another thing that came up on your last podcast. Yes, podcast. Not your
Mhm.
last. I don't know if your last. It was an episode that I listened to recently, with the same person who said it's as easy to raise 20 million as 20,000. She also said
Yeah.
just
yeah,
discernment, I think was like a word that you guys had. You have to have a spirit of discernment, whether it's
Yeah.
what advice to take. That's also where it comes in handy to know yourself as a person and as a brand,
Yeah.
what advice to take and what not to take, what to take personally, what not to take personally.
Mhm.
I mean, this industry is just so full of rejection. It's just like a lot of things should just be flowing off your back and just moving on to the next thing.
I believe very strongly in choose your critics wisely.
Yeah.
Don't accept anyone's criticism or critique or guidance. It's like,
That took me way long to learn, too long to learn. I
yeah,
spent, I suffered a lot by not learning that. Like, I had this review in the reader that called me the obese nightclub singer gives a bland and
Oh
forgettable
no.
performance,
Oh
right? That's what it
no.
said. A bland and forgettable, me, Valerie Hubbard, bland
Oh
and
my God. I know,
forgettable.
right? You're not that.
I could stand in my bathrobe on the stage and read the phone book. I would never be called bland or forgettable. But
Right.
yeah, that's what he said. It's like how do I get through? This is something I've been talking to my clients a lot about. How do I get through let go faster? How do I let go faster?
Mm.
How do I,
Mhm.
because actors tend to go, he said no. Why did he say no? He wasn't supposed to say, they'll stay at that no for like 5 years. Right. I mean, I met this actress once that went to Rutgers and I said, what happened? And she had 10 years, nothing was happening. And she called me and she's like, well, I had this agent and he left the agency. And the whole story was agent. And I was like, oh, I see. So you've got to get through the bad. Like, how do you get through hell? Winston Churchill said that, right? You run.
Right. Go as fast as you can. And
But
that was a
learn,
theme.
but learn what not to
Yes.
repeat, right?
Right.
Like I'll never sign with an agent that I don't double, triple check that contract because I got money stolen from me.
Right.
So I
Right.
learned my lesson.
Exactly. You do have to learn, but ideally learn quickly. One thing with We Make Movies, our CEO would always say, just don't be afraid to fail, but fail quickly and move on. And you're always going to learn more from your failures than, and we don't always have to say failures, yes, but just those some disappointing situations, right? Than when you're succeeding and flowing on high and you think you're amazing, and then, get that thing that knocks you back down a peg, and you can learn from that, right?
Yeah.
Learn more from that usually. Yeah, that's important.
All right. Well, this has been an amazing hour talking to you. I mean,
Has been, Valerie.
yeah. Oh my
So
God, we're so happy to have you.
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you, Valerie and James. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. And I will say you both are people that I consider like part of my network and part of like the folks that I'm like, oh, I hope I get to work with them one day. Like it would be
Yeah.
great. And we've talked a little bit about that, Valerie.
Yeah,
So
we have
maybe,
been talking about that, and that's one of the things I'm thinking. I'm like, oh, am I going to be able to do that? I don't know. Well, because I had the year of mothers, losing one, and then
oh,
yeah, one died, and then the other one is had to be moved to just. So it's like my husband are like, it's the year of mothers. My mother is living, but she's got dementia, so I just moved her. So it's been like the year of mothers so far, and so you
Wow.
have to let what happens in your life, and
exactly.
like my friend said, my mom, I used to go visit my mom and then I'd be home and she's like, my mom would call and she's like, why didn't you come over? And she goes, Mom, I was just there. And she said, now I would give anything for my mom to call me 50 times a day and
Yeah.
ask me, why don't you come over?
Oh.
Yeah, Val, I hear you, and it's really hard. I just moved. You guys are gonna laugh at me. 200 voicemails off of my phone into my Dropbox.
You're my husband. You're just like my husband.
I couldn't bring myself to delete the messages my mom had left before she passed away.
Oh, of
No,
course. Of course. I'm glad you're
no.
saving those. I would be the same way. My,
Yeah, no, you can't
yeah.
erase your mom's. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
My dad
yeah.
passed like through his emails and texts.
Mm.
It's just tough. And you have to just let life happen. And so, like I was saying, Valerie, I would love to work with you. And just when the timing's right, when the project's
Yeah,
right,
the
when
timing
everything
will be right.
aligns. Yeah, same thing with you,
And
James. I think of
I
you for coaching, James. Every now and then, with this last one, I thought of you too, and I was like, I just got to go with someone who knows me better. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
because the turnaround was so quick. But one of these days, I'll at least coach with you, and hopefully, we'll work together on maybe something bigger and greater. And
I would love to play Valerie's husband.
oh, that would be great. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we like to do some plays together, like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? We're too
Yeah.
old now. Am I too old? No. I'm not.
No,
And then here's the thing, you
never
can
too
make
old.
there's exactly you can make people are doing so many fun things with casting now, with casting
Yeah.
off gender,
Oh my
cast
gosh.
obviously different color,
Yeah.
different ethnicities. So if you're like, if you wanted to do Mean Girls with a bunch of, like people of a certain age, how much fun would that be, right? You know what I
That's
mean? Or like,
hilarious.
that show on Netflix, it was promoted to me not a while ago and I've added it to my list, but it's called Queen Bees. And it's about it's like the high school dynamic, but in a assisted living place. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yes, please. I will watch that. Yes, yes, I like that. Yes, I'm going to watch that at
And
some
they're
point. I haven't
like
gotten to it
that.
yet.
They're like
Huh?
that. I mean, it's high school. Those
Yeah.
assisted living places are like high
And
school.
like, who can't relate to that? Whether you're in high school or junior high or middle school or a senior in an assisted living place, everyone can relate to that because we've all been through it, right?
My
So if you
my
wanted to
yeah.
do Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and just be like, but it's with this other cast, people be like, oh, that's different. I've seen the other one. I've seen that. You know what I mean? Wow, they're doing something really unique and different with it. Let's go. Yeah.
My mom in her elder care facility got hit on all the time.
I hear it's like Olympic Village, the way
Yeah.
those folks.
My grandmother one time walked in on her sister having sex with this man, like, and they both lived in the same home, and she walked on. Can you imagine?
Good for her. Listen, we can get it in at any stage in life. We can find love at any stage. We can have fun at any
That's
stage.
right.
We can live full lives at any. You don't have to stop living just because you're 85 or whatever. Yeah. So I
Oh,
hope I'm like that. If I'm blessed enough to
Oh,
live
me
that long,
too.
I
Me
want to
too.
be
Me too.
having
Me
fun.
too.
Having fun. Yes.
Hmm.
Otherwise, that's okay. I don't need to be here. I'm not
No,
having fun.
no. Peace out.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It was so much
Thank
fun having you.
you,
It was a
Valerie.
great one.
Thank
I
you,
want to like
Tahana.
see these comments. I see these comments have been coming in, but I haven't been checking them. So I'm just like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
these
Look at him.
these are so
Senior Mean Girls. They love that.
lots of compliments. So these guys are great. Thanks for
Uh-huh.
coming, folks, in the
Yes,
Zoom.
thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah.
And this podcast will be out on all stations that it pops on in a few days, and we'll see you then. All right. Bye,
Yay.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Valerie. Thanks,
Bye.
James.
Thank you.